Is the Samsung Galaxy Note 8 worth buying in 2020? Well, in this video, we're going to find out. Hi everyone, this is Kevin here, and this is the Samsung Galaxy Note 8. And now that it's 2020, the price of this phone has gone down significantly. In fact, right now, you can pick this up on Amazon renewed for just $269. So if you're not aware what renewed means, essentially the device has been refurbished, and specifically for the listing that I bought this from, the device looks nearly brand new. It's really hard to tell any signs of usage at all. The display looks flawless, the glass in the back looks flawless. Maybe there's just a few blemishes around the charging port, but most of it's from this sticker that I couldn't get off completely. So for the most part, the phone is in excellent condition, and it's possible that this phone could have been a return product, so hardly ever used at all. So I don't really know where it came from, but all I know is that right now you can get this device for an insanely good price. Now I'm sure in the future the price will continue to go down even more, so definitely make sure to check out the link in the video description to see the most up-to-date pricing for the Samsung Galaxy Note 8 at the time that you're watching this video. But it's insane that you can get a phone that used to be extremely expensive for a very affordable price tag. And it really brings up the question whether you should go for a used or refurbished flagship or if you should buy a new budget phone. Now I'm going to talk about more of that in a separate video. This video is going to be dedicated just to the Galaxy Note 8, but I've been very happy with this device so far. Now this version of the Galaxy Note 8 is the GSM unlocked version of the device. Now what's interesting is that I did put in my Verizon SIM card into the phone and it did work. Now maybe I got lucky and they just happened to send me a Galaxy Note 8 that also has Verizon compatibility, but I know that for a fact I bought the GSM unlocked variant of the phone on Amazon, so I don't want to make any guarantees there, but I am happy to see that it at least does work with Verizon in addition to GSM carriers. Now I'm mainly going to be using this phone with Cricket Wireless, and there are definitely no compatibility issues with that carrier at all. Now if you're not familiar with the specifications of the Samsung Galaxy Note 8, they're still very impressive in 2020. We're getting a large 6.3-inch display with the device. The display itself is Super AMOLED, so it looks fantastic. It features a 1440p resolution, a PPI of 521, and an 18.5 by 9 aspect ratio. So I know that now in 2020, devices are getting more narrow and more tall, but even with this phone being several years old, the 18.5 by 9 aspect ratio still is very current, and the device still looks very modern despite its age. Now we're still getting a good screen to body ratio with the device, giving us a 83.2% screen to body ratio. So yes, of course, there's a bezel up top and a bezel down below, but at least we're not getting any sort of notch with this phone. So for people that don't like notches and also don't like hole punch front-facing cameras, then this device is certainly still a good option for you. Now the front-facing camera is an 8 megapixel camera, but despite it having kind of a lower megapixel count, it still takes really great looking front-facing photos, and you can take front-facing portrait mode photos with this device as well. And that's called selective focus. So we'll let this process right here and we'll check this out in a second. And we'll take a look right now. And yeah, you can see it blurred out the background. Of course, not the best pose I made there, not really smiling or anything, but that's not the point. The point is that this device still takes really good looking pictures. Now I'll show you what the rear camera looks like, and we actually get a dual camera setup with the Galaxy Note 8, despite it being several years old. Now we get a 12 megapixel main camera with the device that takes really good looking clear photos. And then we also get a 12 megapixel telephoto camera as well. So the secondary camera zooms in on different things, and that's a great feature to have too. Now one of the features lacking, of course, with the Samsung Galaxy Note 8 is that there is no ultra wide angle camera. So that's a bit unfortunate. I'm a big fan of that feature, but we do at least get telephoto with the Note 8. Now internally, this version of the phone that is able to snag for $269 features 64 gigabytes of internal storage, and after doing a factory reset, I had around 50 gigabytes of usable space, And the device also features SD card expansion in case you do want to put in a micro SD card. Now, the phone also features wireless charging, which is great to see. Certainly a feature that I personally use quite a bit, so that's fantastic. And we also have multiple methods to unlock the phone. So you can use the fingerprint sensor, of course, to unlock the display, but you can also use face unlock, and this phone has an iris scanner. And to my understanding, the latest flagships from Samsung don't even have an iris scanner anymore. So if you really do want that iris scanning feature, then the Samsung Galaxy Note 8 is one of the few flagships that Samsung has created that has it. Now, performance-wise, this phone still runs like a champ. It features 6 GB of RAM and the Qualcomm Snapdragon 835. Now, the 835 is certainly getting a bit long in the tooth, but I did run an Antutu benchmark test, and the results were still really good, especially for a phone in this price range. So you can see I got a total score of 256,680. So not bad at all. Still a really good score, even now in 2020. Certainly outperforms many of the other devices that I've tested in this price range, such as the LG Stylo 5 and even the Samsung Galaxy A51. So great to see that the phone still does feature really good performance and is nice and competitive. Of course, the Note 10, which is the most current and up-to-date Note model, is much better than this one, but that phone retails for around $1,000. Now, video recording with this device features 4K 30 FPS on the back at 2160p, and then for the front-facing camera, video recording maxes out at 1440p at 30 frames per second. So you're able to take nice, crisp, clear-looking video with both the front and rear cameras on this device. So if you are looking to buy a smartphone to use as a dedicated video camera, like I am with my LG G7 ThinQ, which you can see right here, then this phone is certainly another great option for that, because you will be able to take great looking video, even though this phone is not selling for too much money now in 2020. Now, the battery capacity with the Samsung Galaxy Note 8 is 3,300 milliamp hours, so a decently beefy battery. But the good news though is that this phone is actually very power efficient, so you'll easily be able to get a full day's use out of it. Now, the software with the Samsung Galaxy Note 8 is Android 9 Pie, running Samsung's One UI 1.0. So the software has been updated. I don't remember exactly. I think this was running Nougat out of the box. So nice to see that we are getting Android 9 Pie with it. I certainly hope that we do eventually get Android 10. I don't know for sure if that's going to happen, but that would be amazing. But a nice surprise is that the phone actually has one of the latest security updates. So the software is now up to date, right? But you can see that it's running the January 1st, 2020 security patch. So despite it still running Android 9 Pie, Samsung has continued to deploy security patches to the Samsung Galaxy Note 8, which I find to be extremely impressive. So certainly nice to see that we are getting software support with this phone, and I feel like the specifications with this device are still very competitive, despite it being a couple of years old. Now, it does come in several different colors. This color is the Orchid Gray color, so kind of like a purplish gray, and I'm a big fan of that color. And currently, if you do go on Amazon and look at their renewed devices, if you go for this color, you will be spending a bit less money compared to the other colors, but you can also get the phone in Midnight Black, Maple Gold, and Deep Sea Blue. So there are a bunch of different colors available if you do want to go the Amazon renewed route. Now, as far as the hardware goes of this device, it's still a very beautiful piece of hardware, no doubt. You're getting that massive display on here. And for some of the people that don't want to get a device with a very tall and narrow display, like the Samsung Galaxy A51's 20:9 aspect ratio, even though I like that personally, if you want kind of an older form factor, you can still go for this phone and it looks amazing. You can see on the left side of the device we have the volume button and we have the Bixby button. So this does have Bixby on board. We also have the power button on the right side. We have a nice metal band running around the side of the phone. The display on here also has a slight curve to it. I like that it's not overly curved, so it's not distracting at all, but it does have a slight curve. There's also still the edge screen, so you can put your favorite applications on the side of the edge screen to easily access them. Now, taking a look at the top part of the phone, we have the slot for the micro SD card and SIM card, and we have the noise canceling microphone. And then on the bottom of the Samsung Galaxy Note 8, we have a 3.5mm headphone jack, we have the USB-C port for charging and data transfer, we have the microphone, the speaker, and of course, the stylus. That is why this phone is called the Note, because it does come with its own stylus, and you can see the color of the stylus does match the back of the phone, so that's really cool. Now, immediately when you pull out the stylus, you get these alerts here. so that you can do all kinds of different actions. So you can create a note, you can view all your notes, smart select, screen write, live message, and translate, and you can add additional applications as well. So very convenient there. But if you want to, you can just use the stylus to navigate around the phone, just like you would with your finger. Definitely a great accessibility option for some people that might have difficulty for one reason or another using a capacitive touchscreen. So this stylus does have that floating feature as well, so you can almost see a little cursor on the display itself. So there's so many different features with this. I'm sure if you want to, you can look at older videos that came out several years ago about this device, but I might put out a variety of fresh videos about the Samsung Galaxy Note 8, especially since the phone has gone through a number of different software updates since it was first launched. We of course have Samsung's One UI with this, and I'm hoping that it eventually does get Android 10, because that would be amazing. But we'll put the stylus back in the phone. It definitely has tons of really awesome features that make this phone very usable. But overall, just an excellent piece of hardware for just $269.99. Now, if you're really into Instagram, then this is a great phone for Instagram. You can easily scroll through your feed, you can go to your notifications, you can view your most recent photos, which this one happens to be of this exact device, which is really awesome. Looks like people are very impressed and happy to see that the phone is selling for such an inexpensive price tag. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, then check it out over at Kevin Breeze TV. I have a bunch of exclusive content over there, and it's a great way to keep up with the various phones that I'm checking out. So scrolling is really smooth in Instagram. That's excellent. You can go up, of course, and view your stories. So you can see all your different stories about whatever is going on in your life, which is great. You can also swipe over and you can take photos and videos as well with the Samsung Galaxy Note 8. So it's an excellent device for creating content, editing photos, editing videos even, because it still is very powerful even in 2020. Now, if you're curious about how the size of this phone compares to the iPhone 11, here are the two devices side by side. So the Galaxy Note 8 certainly is a larger device when put up next to this one. And then let me show you how it compares to the Samsung Galaxy A51. Now, I'm actually going to be doing a dedicated comparison video between these two devices because I think many people are going to be very curious about how they differ and also how they're similar. But you can see that the Galaxy Note 8 is even a little bit larger than the A51, not much larger, but the A51 does have more screen real estate overall. So the bezels are, of course, a lot smaller with this device. A lot of people have noticed that the A51 has many design cues that are similar to the Galaxy Note 10 as well, with having that Infinity O display. But you can see, even holding these two phones up next to each other, the Galaxy Note 8 still does look decently up to date and current. It's not like it looks like a dinosaur or a fossil next to the Samsung Galaxy A51. So that's definitely an interesting thing to keep in mind. Now, on the back of these two phones, there are some major differences because with the Samsung Galaxy Note 8, you're just getting the telephoto camera and standard camera, whereas with the Samsung Galaxy A51, we're getting a quad camera setup with a main camera, wide-angle camera, a macro camera, and depth sensing camera. So this phone does not have a telephoto camera, but this phone does not have an ultra wide-angle camera or a macro camera. So that's definitely very interesting. Another thing too is that with the Galaxy Note 8, the fingerprint sensor, of course, is on the rear of the device. And to be honest, the placement of it is a little bit awkward. It's definitely quite a reach for my index finger, but it is decently responsive, except I had Bixby open, so you didn't really notice that. You can see it's decently responsive there. But then with the Galaxy A51, we do have that in-screen fingerprint sensor. So definitely two different approaches when going for the fingerprint sensor. But overall, I'm just very happy with the Galaxy Note 8 in general. So I'm really curious to know, what do you think about this device? Do you think it's worth going for the Note 8 and saving a lot of money? Or would you rather spend $700 and go for the Note 10? Or do you think it's more worth it to go for a newer device like the Galaxy A51 and maybe give up some of the specifications under the hood, but then get a newer phone that will probably get more updates into the future and also runs Android 10 out of the box with One UI 2.0. Really curious to know your thoughts about that. Actually, what's interesting, and I'm kind of giving a lot of stuff away that I'm going to talk about in the comparison between these two phones, but what's interesting is that the Samsung Galaxy A51 actually does not have the January 2020 security patch yet, even though the Galaxy Note 8 does. So interesting, it seems like Samsung kind of prioritizes even their older flagships to get security patches over their newer budget phones. So certainly kind of a surprising thing to see there. Also, on the other hand, really awesome that they are still supporting their older smartphones. Maybe they learned a lesson from Apple that you need to support your devices into the long term to gain respect from your customers. I know that Samsung has been getting a lot better about that as time's gone on. It seems like they've opened up some new development offices or something so that they can handle all the various devices that they need to update over time. Certainly, without a doubt, this phone was very ahead of its time when it was first launched and still really holds up really well in 2020. Now, if you're curious, let me show you really quick. This is the box that the renewed phone comes in, which is interesting because it almost looks like a phone box without any sort of, art or designs or branding on the front. You get a SIM card removal tool included as well, and you get a wall adapter. That's a generic wall adapter, so nothing special about that either. And then you get a USB-C cable for charging and data transfer. So a generic USB-C cable as well. So nothing too special about those accessories, but if you don't mind getting generic accessories in a generic box, but then getting a Galaxy Note 8 in excellent condition, then the Amazon renewed Samsung Galaxy Note 8 might be the device for you. But again, let me know your thoughts about the Samsung Galaxy Note 8 in 2020. Definitely want to know what you think about this. And stay tuned for my future content. But this is Kevin here. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.